Following a gut-wrenching loss to Anthony Pulis in St. Louis FC, Jimmy Nielsen and Hartford Athletic return home to Dillon Stadium in desperate search of 3 points to keep their heads above water in the Eastern Conference playoff race in the USL Championship as they welcome Ryan Martin and Loudon United to Hartford, Connecticut. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Stanley Black & Decker. And Devin, when you take a look at these two sides and their chances of making the playoffs, they're long shots. But Loudon United, given their upcoming schedule and the fact they're 5 points ahead of Hartford, they're in a much better position at the moment.
One of the bigger things for Loudon United is also the fact that they have at least one game in hand on 11 teams currently ahead of them in the standings. And that's a good talking point because if you look at Charlotte Independence right now, they're only 2 points behind, 3 games in hand on them. So a good opportunity for Loudon United to continue this push forward. For Hartford Athletic, this has almost become an exposition for these players where you are now basically in a trial purpose trying to fight for a contract for next year.
And the last time that these two teams met all the way back on May 19th, a historic and glorious day for the club that is Hartford Athletic. They're able to get their first ever win, able to get by Loudon United by a score of 2-1. It came with a little bit of trials and tribulations in the form of a Nicolai Lingo own goal, but Jose Angulo was the man. He recorded the brace, and a big day for the club.
Really helped them grasp some quality momentum over the next few matches. They got results against Ottawa Fury, North Carolina FC. Who can forget the 2-1 victory over St. Louis FC back on June 8th? But it all started right here. Ryan Martin knows this. There is no love lost. He felt really bad about what went on. Felt like his boys deserved a chance to get some vengeance in it, and why not? The problem for them is they haven't been able to do it in back-to-back games. He said that in order for us to have any success going forward and make a run at this thing, we got to find a way to put 3 points on the board on a regular basis, not just 1 week in and out. It's got to be in back-to-back games, and it has to start this afternoon.
Well, their last 2 games have been against 2 playoff sides and magnificent results. A 1-1 draw against Birmingham Legion, followed up by a 4-0 drubbing of Dave Saracen and North Carolina FC. They're looking to make it 3 unbeaten and a massive back-to-back win streak. Meanwhile, for Hartford Athletic, they've got to get 3 points. It's all coming your way next. Almost ready for kickoff here between Hartford Athletic and Loudon United FC. If you're wondering why Hartford Athletic are wearing orange jerseys, it's for Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Day here at Dillon Stadium. Terrific initiative from Hartford Athletic as they will take on Loudon United, what should be an excellent 90 minutes here in New England. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr, and tonight's broadcast again is presented by Stanley Black & Decker. Let's take a look at the Hartford Athletic starting 11 and starting lineups are brought to you by Premier Limousine. Devin Kurt, what are we looking at for the home side?
One change for Jimmy Nielsen, the white Puma, who's at the helm, and he brings Harry Swartzen back on to the right side of midfield. He'll be paired up with Logan Gadula. Really like that matchup we've seen. Gadula moving out of the middle to the right. Elliot Horde will be his counterpart on the left. And of course, the saviors and grace for Jimmy Nielsen. Alex Davies, son of it. Still feel like that's the best combination for them going forward. Really liked what we've seen out of Alex Dixon and the relationship with Ian Sebastian Dalgard on the left. The visitors, Loudoun United, Ryan Martin. How's he going to line things up? Well, he's going to give a cap to an interesting one on the back line, Shane Witt. This is a guy who, along with Robbie Dambrot, transferred from Akron to Pitt. And they played out their college careers there, but a lot of pedigree behind him. 4-time state champion in high school, went to the College Cup twice, 4-time MAC champion. So he knows how to win, but now can he do it at the professional level? Given his first start on the road, difficult task. We've obviously seen the front 6 and 7 in front of him before. Orlando Sinclair gets the change instead of Kyle Murphy.
Well, Loudon United, we already talked about it, coming off of 2 excellent results against Birmingham Legion and North Carolina FC, but now here they are at Dillon Stadium, and they're going to go against the Hartford Athletic side that is backed by the 19th Regiment and this awesome support group here at Dillon. And we'll take a look at the Trentolo and Trentolo injury report. And for Hartford Athletic, it continues to be a long list. Tyler David, Philip Rasmussen, Max Steves, Daniel Bedoya. For Loudon United, nothing to report, but there were some question marks coming into the game. Kyle Murphy was one of them, as was Colin Verfurth, and they are not going to get the nod tonight. And this is a Loudon United group that is going to be sporting their all black kits. Hartford Athletic, we already talked about, for gender equality and women empowerment in their all orange. And our head referee for today's match is none other than Elvis Osmanovic. 2 Elvises in the building, 1 referee, 1 playing out wide for Loudon United, and his last name is Amo. So obviously no relation. Big 3 points up for grabs. You could probably book it if Loudon United were to drop any points in this match, that they would more or less be theoretically eliminated, not mathematically just yet. And away we go from Dillon Stadium. And right off the bat, Harry Swartz putting his stamp on this game. Boy, what a revelation he's been in his rookie season for the side in their inaugural season. Both sides in their first year of existence. Been a bit more fruitful for Loudon United, but their schedule and just sort of the way that things shook out at the beginning of the 2019 USL Championship campaign was a bit more in their favor, given the fact that Hartford Athletic had to spend the first 8 or 9 games of the year on the road, didn't get their first win until the 10th game of the season against Loudon United, a 2-1 win as we already previously covered at the top of the broadcast. As this goes all the way back for Callie Brown, is getting the start, local boy for Loudon United. Grew up in Leesburg, Virginia. Here's Carlos Alvarez, brother of Efrain. Gets stood up in the middle of the park. It's a good challenge, and now here comes Hartford Athletic with numbers forward. Danny Barrera clipping one in for Harry Swartz. Brings it down, Swartz still with it, puts the brakes on, circles back around. Good ball into the mixer. Chance here, it's towards the far corner, and it's just wide. It was Danny Barrera, and already a good look from Hartford Athletic on the counterattack.
Something the home squad has always struggled with, whether it be at home or on the road, is their momentum coming out of the gate, and they got to find a way to push numbers and go early and often. That's exactly what you get here. Nice bit of craftsmanship, moving left to right. Would like to see the trigger pulled a bit earlier by Harry Swartz, but that's positive play for Jimmy Nielsen's boys getting started early.
Here Hartford comes again, and Loudon United just look all out of sorts. And Devin, that's been the biggest thing with Ryan Martin. You touched on it a little bit. I want to get your further thoughts on this, because you look at a couple of results from Loudon United this year. A 3-0 win against the back-to-back champs in Louisville City FC, a 4-0 win against North Carolina FC, a 1-1 draw against Birmingham Legion. Is it because of all the youth? Is it because they're in their first season that they haven't been able to put it together consistently, or is there something else for you?
It's a couple combinations. Youth is definitely an issue, and I mean that in the most positive sense. These guys need to get repetitions as they're pumping them through the academy, but when you combine the youngsters with seasoned pros, combined with players coming from DC United, when you're not training together on a regular basis, it's really difficult to develop and, more importantly, maintain chemistry. Hence why the results on there on a regular basis throughout matches in back-to-back form. As nice little foul down in the corner. More importantly, that's when you have to lean on guys like Carlos Alvarez, guys like Kyle Murphy, even Elvis Amo, who comes in. a rookie within the organization, but 27 years of age. So you have to find a way to not only lean on them, but get momentum with them going forward. We've seen it in recent matches, but this is a stretch unlike any other that Loudoun United have ever experienced, and they need to continue this momentum going forward. You and I have talked about who could or could not sneak in. Out of all the teams currently below the playoff line, I firmly believe this team has the best shot.
Because of schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
When you take a look at who they're playing in this match, Hartford Athletic, 17th. You can run down. They play Memphis. They also play Bethlehem Steel and then Swope Park Rangers. 15, 12, 18. You turn the page, they got to play some really difficult teams, but they also play St. Louis and the Charleston Battery. I'm not taking anything away from any of those squads, but when you play 6 teams out of your final 10 matches that are right on the playoff cusp before it, that gives you a pretty good chance.
They need to take care of business here on the road against Hartford, though, a side that has proven to be difficult, especially in the past few weeks or so. Devastating loss against St. Louis in 3-2 fashion as this one cleared away by the back line. Well, specifically Alex Davey. And a nice touch into the path of Alex Dixon. He touches it out wide. Hartford Athletic getting forward again with a lot of purpose and authority. Harry Swartz is calling for it on the near side at the bottom of your screen. And it's slowly but surely working its way over to him. Mads Jorgensen, he can hit it from that range. We've already seen it a couple of times this season. Good battle out on the left wing. Ball towards the byline, clipped into the middle. Here's Swartz heading it down, it's off the bar. Swartz again, it's off the crossbar a second time, and the header is finally in. And it's Danny Barrera. After 2 different varieties of woodwork for Harry Swartz, Danny Barrera to the rescue and gives Hartford Athletic a lead in the first 5 minutes.
Throughout the trials and tribulations, everything coming out of Hartford Athletic is the positive attitude and how they will continue to persevere through the rough results. This is a perfect representation of it. They have had some beautiful buildups in the opening 5 minutes here. Harry Swartz couldn't pull the trigger early enough on his first chance. This time around 2 in back-to-back fashion. The woodwork not friendly whatsoever, but notice the rotation. Hallie Brown can't rotate over quick enough, and just great follow-up by Danny Barrera to put in the back of the net.
That would have been a play that haunted the dreams of Harry Swartz had Danny Barrera not put that in, but thankfully he'll be able to sleep somewhat well tonight, especially if the result holds. At the moment, it's Hartford Athletic 1, Loudoun United 0, and Danny Barrera is probably going to get at least dinner, maybe a couple of adult beverages from Harry Swartz tonight. Here's Elvis Amo driving forward, and they're claiming for a card for simulation, Hartford Athletic. Elliot Horde is making the biggest argument towards Elvis Osmanovic, and he's going to have a talk with Elvis Amo about future challenges and how to handle them. We've seen fast starts from Hartford Athletic before, but whether or not they can see it out is a different story. Who could forget the quick start that they had against New York Red Bulls 2 a few weeks ago, a game in which they finished with 9 men after Davey got sent off with a red card. And here comes Hartford Athletic again. Danny Barrera cuts it back, now back on his left, tries to put it in for Alex Dixon, and it comes off of Loudoun United. And this is a group for Ryan Martin that just looks in complete disarray at the moment.
2 center backs really struggling. Communication between Harry Hawkins and Shane Witt. He's finally getting an opportunity to showcase himself at the professional level. Danny Barrera not happy with his decision making, but always difficult in traffic. And that back line has to start being a bit more vocal with each other. Transitional defense really struggling.
Ball sent in, and it's in for Hartford Athletic again! And it's Alex Dixon who claims it. And the home side is flying in the first 7 minutes of this one.
Hallie Brown beside himself, but it starts from the goalkeeper and then works its way forward. Whether it's in the run of play or a set piece opportunity, they have to be better with their defensive shape. No rotation to the front. Trailing run by Orlando Sinclair does not track Alex Dixon. And for a guy who is one of the best in all the USL Championship, with space in front of him to play, does a great job in close quarters with a quick little flick onto the back post.
Well, following probably one of their best performances of the season, I think it's safe to say that Ryan Martin's group has put on probably their worst 7.5-minute performance of the season and now trail Hartford Athletic by a score of 2-0. 2 questions remain. Can Hartford Athletic keep this pace up? Probably not. Can Loudoun United somehow dig out a result when they are in desperate need of it to continue to be in at least the playoff conversation, let alone in contention? And we do apologize for the tardiness of this, but Hartford Athletic would like to extend a special thank you to our title partner, Trinity Health of New England. It's a bit difficult to get reads in. You have 2 goals in the first 7 minutes. They don't account for that.
Someone's got to be blamed, and we need to take care of that. I go after Harry Swartz and Alex Dixon.
I'm not going to take blame for it.
They're paying for the sponsor.
Not. What an incredible start for Jimmy Nielsen and Hartford Athletic. And here they come again. Dalgard still with it. Dalgard could be in again. It's loose in front. Pereira trying to get there, and Loudoun United cleared off the line. That could have been game, set, and match before we even played 9 minutes.
Harry Hawkins once again. Look at the savior and grace right on the end line here. Good job stepping up into it. Pressure still coming.
Dalgard again, and a penalty to Hartford Athletic. They're running riot. Loudoun United simply do not have any answers. Hartford Athletic giving them more than they can handle. And Sebastian Dalgard, who missed a 1v1 opportunity moments ago, will have a chance from the spot.
I'm not sure you and I have ever seen a team come out so flat as we're seeing out of Loudoun United right now. Every single person on the front line for Hartford Athletic looks like they're just having fun on the training ground, picking this team apart. And you just hope that Dalgard's okay. Saw a little limp getting up, but going through his full range of motion right now as he tends to that right knee of his.
Hartford to make it 3-0 before 10 minutes is even played, and it's saved. Another chance for Williams, put across, and it's in! Ryan Williams off the follow-up, couldn't get the first chance to go in off the spot, but somehow finds the back of the net, and Hartford lead it 3-0. Unbelievable.
This is one of those days where it's just not in the cards for you. Great save by Callie Brown, jumping all the way to his right, full extension. No follow-up by the back line, and a bit of confusion right here. Shane Witt out in front of it. Ryan Williams pulls it to the back post. As you can see, Harry Hawkins just could not regain his footing. How about Ryan Williams still saying, come on guys, let's keep this train going. 10 minutes in, up 3, they do not want to stop.
So Alex Dixon with his 4th goal this season. For Ryan Williams, his 2nd, and for Danny Barrera, his 1st. This is extraordinary. Bustamante has taken it off of his foot. Fair play to Callie Brown, who made 2 massive saves on both Sebastian Dalgard in the 1v1 situation and then on the penalty. So he did everything in his power to try to at least keep this a 2-0 game. This is one of the most outrageous 10-minute starts we have seen in the USL Championship, not this season, but possibly in the past 2 to 3 years. Gordon Wild, Alvarez, slides it through, Elvis Amo puts it all the way across, and Loudoun United have one back, or do they? Offside. Buckle up, folks, this could be a goal-scoring bonanza.
If you're Jimmy Nielsen, the conversation's going to be just settle things down a little bit. Getting a little overexposed, to be fair. Rough deflection coming off of Elliot Horde. He has held his ground quite well. And now just kind of steady the ship a little bit. There is a massive amount of space here for Hartford to play down in the channel.
And here comes Harry Swartz again. Alex Dixon trying to hold his run. Swartz all the way across. First time effort, and it's Alex Dixon who keeps it from going in. And he was offside to boot. Oh, goodness, it could have been 4-0 just like that.
Funny how we always joke with Jimmy Nielsen. Guys like Harry Swartz have been used all over the pitch. If Alex Dixon wants to play goalkeeper, you just got to tell someone. That's not what you're up there for, big man.
I mean, the back line for Loudon United right now looks like they have no idea what sport they're playing, let alone where they are. And it can't be as simple as Shane Witt coming in, because Dan Broad, Harry Hawkins, and Connor Presley, surely enough, have gotten more than their fair share of chances this year.
Watch all the space in the middle when Hartford starts to transition. Bustamante and Guerra are having trouble tracking the runners coming through the middle, and it's simple as this: when Carlos Alvarez drops deep, that gives you about a 15-yard gap. When someone steps up into it, no one's closing the space. So then your runners start to branch off a bit more, but look how condensed, conversely, that Hartford Athletic is. Night flat lines, 4-4-2 sitting up top defensive shape, much more difficult to break down.
Now Presley curls one in, not a bad ball. A poor clearance coming from Logan Gadula. Ryan Martin. Boy, would you love to be able to know what's going on through his mind at the moment. Can't be anything good.
Just taking a look at a bench right now. He's already sent all the subs down to the corner. Doesn't want him around any of the words coming out of his mouth, and give everybody on the field an idea of exactly how good he feels about what's going on right now. 15 minutes in, already 3 goals, but the real problem isn't necessarily it's conceding, it's the fashion in which they've done it. They are just stretched so thin right now. Finally starting to put the ball down on the deck and play a little bit.
Finally, this one has settled down a little bit. It's been a long and grueling 5 minutes without a goal. Hartford Athletic would like to recognize the Hartford and all of its founding partners for the 2019 season. The Hartford and Athletic are bringing soccer shots to Dillon Stadium. Sign your 3 to 5-year-old up now to learn from the pros at Hartford. And for Barrera. He gets taken down and a foul called by Elvis Osmanovic. They go quickly from the restart though. Alex Dixon for Logan Gadula. Look how much time and space he has well into Loudon United territory. Gadula just trying to thread one through. Some nice little ACC battles going on. Robbie Dambrod and Shane Witt, of course, from Pittsburgh. Logan Gadula at Wake Forest. This is, of course, after the reshuffling of the conferences a few years ago. Not classic ACC, but ACC nonetheless.
Anybody on there from Michigan? Had to, with that kind of performance.
Boy, you would have been the happiest man on this broadcast had they not pulled away from Army at the last second. Here comes Harry Swartz. Trying to get to the byline. He felt like he was taken down. A good challenge, though. Over for Connor Presley. Types of moments, Ryan Martin has to be turning to his leaders in the form of Carlos Alvarez specifically, as Elvis Amo puts the brakes on and plays a good ball out wide for Presley. Trying to get around Elliot Horde, but he was really composed in that moment. Alex Davey, though, makes a mess of it. Dambrot taking what's given to him, and that's the middle of the field. Bustamante, Sinclair, Dambrot in for Elvis Amo. He turns and hits it. It's not bad football for Loudoun United. Certainly by looking at it, you wouldn't know that this is a side that gave up 3 goals in the first 10 minutes of the match.
Those are some of the glimpses you'll get out of Alisimo. There's a reason Manchester City picked him up from their youth academy in years past, and still trying to develop himself. I understand he's moving into his latter 20s, but he does show you he's got that streaky little scoring maneuvers in him in or around the 18, and that was something coming in that you and I talked about. What would this look like going forward? And they have a lot of pieces up there that can really be interchanged. Carlos Alvarez can play in the 10. Most likely he'll probably stay in there, but he can rotate into the outside midfield positions. Alisimo, of course, we've seen him in the number 9 up top, both the left and right side of the field respectively now, and Gordon Wild seems to be able to play every position on the field.
Algar kept it in play. It'll find Logan Gadula. Hartford will recycle the runs. Jorgensen, he wants to get in on the fun. He probably wants to hit one from about 50 yards out at this point. Gadula, Dixon, positive first touch, and Alex Dixon rocks the post. That would have been an easy USL Championship Goal of the Week nominee.
This is an absolute clinic right now for Hartford Athletic. Everything, crisp little one touches. Look at the triangular play. Boom, everybody working off of each other. Even the little runs by Harry Swartz to the near post. When he pulls the center back a bit deeper, that opens up the space for Alex Dixon to slide in behind.
Out wide for Dixon. Trying to curl one in. Harry Hawkins muscles it away. Bit back into the area. Poor clearance from Loudoun United. It goes in negative fashion, but Hawkins well done to go back to Callie Brown. Now we've seen teams go back and forth over the course of 10 minutes at the beginning of the game. Maybe, you know, it finishes 2-1 at the first 10, 15 minute mark. We've seen, you know, the RGV Los Dos game from earlier this year over in Carson, where there was 4 goals in a matter of 7 or 8 minutes. But never have we seen a team be this dominant that early.
20 minutes in, outside of the Alisimo chance just moments ago, it's really been lackluster, to say the least, from the visiting squad. And this is what you need to do if you want to have any chance to get back into it. Put the ball down on the deck and just move it around. That's where they're best in their movements going forward. This is still an issue for me in the middle, though. Jeremy Garay dropping quite deep, and he always does, playing their 6. But with the 2 pivots next to him, Bustamante has to find a way to be the link up between he and Carlos Alvarez. You're starting to see Carlos Alvarez drop 20 and 30 yards behind halfway line, and they don't have that true number 10 in the middle of the field to push balls up top to Orlando Sinclair.
Presley, early delivery. Falls through. Gordon Wild on his left peg, and Loudoun United have one back. Gordon Wild makes it 3-1. And even after the more than dominant performance from Hartford Athletic in the first 10 minutes, we might just have a game on our hands yet.
Watch the footwork of Gordon Wild when this ball comes all the way back around. Really difficult to take, but just keep an eye on his feet when he comes around. Great job rotating to his right, sliding it in between his legs, and then a quick little pivot to put this on his left foot and put him in the bottom corner.
Did Cropper overcommit?
That's a difficult one when you expect the initial challenge to be headed away, then the ball bounces and you allow a second and third. He's just dealing with the rotation in general. And to be fair, in the opening 20 minutes, he hasn't experienced that at all. Just a quick little move to your right-hand side, and you would hope that you'd be in proper positioning. But again, you're accounting for so many variables that should have not taken place.
All right, so we go from 3-1 now, and just about halfway through the first half. If you are just tuning in, boy, are we feeling sorry for you at the moment. You missed 4 goals, 3 of them coming from Hartford Athletic in the first 10 minutes. And most recently, Gordon Wild pulling one back for Loudoun United. Loudon have actually put 2 in the back of the net, but 1 was called back for offside. Gamray gives it away rather cheaply. Here's Elliot Horde now. Coming over from Sacramento Republic under the tutelage of Simon Elliott. They retooled their roster a little bit in the last few weeks of the season. Acquiring Thomasina Voltson, getting rid of Tyler Blackwood, getting rid of Elliot Horde. Gadula. Patient here from Hartford. Great touch from Dalgard. He's away again. Dalgard, edge of the area. Barrera blocked in front. And now it's Loudoun United looking to go on the counter. Alvarez, a good ball for Gordon Wild. Loudoun United in business here. Wild on his right peg this time, goes for the curler, stabbed away. Looked like it was Alex Davey again. Now it's Presley. Running at Ryan Williams, lays it off. Delivery into the box, knotted away by Davey, and it'll stay with Loudon. Presley back in, hoping for Alvarez, but easy enough for Cropper. Boy, this just looks like a game that features two teams that desperately need 3 points. If you had no idea what the table looked like, you would know that these are two sides that can't afford to draw or lose, that they just have to go for the win. Outside of the first 10 minutes for Loudoun United.
And that combined with the streaky performance, I was just going to say. You get in, but keep an eye with Loudoun United. What they're doing right now is starting to pinch their outside backs even higher up than normal, pulling Gordon Wild and Elvis Amo into the interior. So what you're getting is overlapping runs by Robbie Dambrot and Connor Presley. The problem is they're overexposing themselves down on the wings, and that's why Hartford Athletic have had a lot of success there, counteracting real quick movements down into the channel and then playing off of each other.
Gadula. Swartz challenging the header. Shane Witt wasn't exactly sure what he wanted to do with it. Mads Jorgensen finding Barrera, and he switches the point of attack. Everything seems to be mighty clean from Hartford. Elliot Horde forced to go all the way back to Cropper. Ryan Martin urging his side to move up. Good feet from Cropper. Puts Elliot Horde in a little bit of a tough situation though. He gives it away. Here's Garrett. Hawkins with a cool head. Dividend for Swartz. Northeastern product finding the Wake Forest man in Logan Gadula. Back for Swartz. All the way for Dalgard. He goes for the curler. Not a bad idea. We have seen him hit those types of balls before. Nominated for Goal of the Month in the USL Championship for his strike against New York Red Bulls 2.
And you're trying to pick out the initial run right at the top of the 18, just a bit further than what he liked. Over the top of the head of Alex Dixon. Good recovery by Dalgard, though. Again, Loudoun United pushing numbers forward, just hoping that if they can pinch in a little bit there. There's another look with Gordon Wild coming inside, that Hartford Athletic will do the same, and that'll allow some space to open up on the exterior.
Gordon Wild. It's bottled up by Gadula and Swartz. Sinclair, rather Elvis Amo, he'll put it on frame, or at least try to. And Ryan Martin very encouraged by his side's play, especially in tight quarters.
You can start to hear some of the direction coming from the sideline of Ryan Martin and his crew. He's asking him to move the ball and pick up the pace a little bit, and you can go a step further there. When Hartford Athletic condense themselves so deep and make this defensive formation a tight-knit unit, it's really hard to play through. You got to go win an individual battle. Take someone on one-on-one, go beat them. Then the next man from Hartford Athletic will rotate over. That's when more space starts to open up.
Foul called against Dalgard on Elvis Amo. This is the first of a 15-game slate in the USL Championship on a Saturday, September 7th. As the foul called against Harry Swartz, and he might just go into the book for his transgressions afterwards as well. Looks like it'll just be a talking to, though, from Elvis Osmanovic. Dambrot, away by Davey. Only as far as Presley, though. Dambrot trying to put it on frame. He gets blocked and then eventually cleared away. Cigna's Save Tracker is up and running. As Hartford Athletic teaming up to launch a new philanthropic campaign, Every Save Matters. Cigna donating $75 for every Hartford Athletic save for the entirety of the 2019 season, including the saves prior to the launch of this initiative. Cigna has donated over $6,500 to Team Impact, which is a national nonprofit that connects children facing serious chronic illnesses with athletic teams, forming lifelong bonds and life-changing outcomes. Thank you again to Cigna for being a founding partner of the Hartford Athletic. Dixon. Dalgard. Back for Barrera. Lays it off. Good first time effort. Couldn't quite reach Callie Brown. Dixon, long range effort. Oh my, that is magnificent from Alex Dixon. One of the best goals you'll see all year. And Hartford Athletic restored their 3-goal lead.
Was just about to say to you, it is absolutely ridiculous the amount of space that is available to this squad in and around and just outside the top of the 18. Alex Dixon makes mincemeat out of every single player on Loudon United with a quick little touch in and a finish to the far post. I think it's safe to say Elvis has left the building.
Alex Dixon with his second goal of the game. My goodness, what a strike from the Texas native.
Hartford!
5th goal of the season for Alex Dixon. I think Mats Jorgensen is going to have a word with him after the game. Said, hey man, that's my job. Whose do you like better? Jorgensen's from about a month ago?
Yes.
Yeah?
In traffic, distance,
First
quick
time.
little touch. Yeah, that's a more of a difficult hit. I'm not taking anything away from Alex Dixon, but you give me 35 yards in about an hour to hit a ball, I could probably put it there too. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
He wasn't that far away.
Ryan Martin would say the same thing. This is poor defending. It's
to be fair, it's been going on all game. It's not a surprise in the opening 33 minutes.
He's going to be frustrated, but if it's a quick little turn in, you rotate left and block the space down. You don't allow him to make a progression going forward. And that's where they have gotten themselves in trouble, though. As you start to push higher numbers, you allow Connor Presley, Robbie Dambrot to get up. You're susceptible to the space in behind. But as you tuck yourself in, where's the midfield help coming up? Nobody steps whatsoever. Flat-footed, and just you allow the play to happen right in front of you.
So just when you thought the Loudon United might starting to be gaining some momentum back, Alex Dixon does that. Well, with 14 games remaining on this Saturday, I think it's pretty fair to say that you're probably not going to find a better goal, at least this week. And anybody who wants to take that bet can hit me up on Twitter at TNTerrans. And a calm and composed look from Jimmy Nielsen, and why not? Best first half performance that his side has put on. To be fair, he was very high on the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game against Nashville, in which Matt Jorgensen got sent off in the 5th. But that didn't result in 3 goals in the first 10 minutes, now did it? Loudon United playoff hopes and dreams busted after this result.
That's an easy one for me. You can take a look at.
I mean, you more or less needed 12 points out of your next 4 games against those teams. And Memphis, Atlanta United 2, Swope.
You and I had this conversation. I said if you could scavenge 9, that would be really nice. Considering the fact that you're going to do battle with a lot of teams around you and all the fixtures coming up, that would give you a chance, but not with something like this.
But the thing is with this young group, as Elvis Amo brings it down, we'll get to that in a moment. Guerre for Bustamante. Well, he had a terrific goal against North Carolina FC, a first-time curling effort into the upper right-hand corner. And a poor giveaway from Guerre. Now here comes Alex Dixon. Numbers getting forward for Hartford Athletic. Dixon for Barrera. Has to wait for it, though. Barrera back for Dixon, sitting on a hat trick. Alex Dixon has it saved by Brown, and a first-time effort that's deflected by the man who gave it away, and Jeremy Guerre. That was destined for the back of the net. Sebastian Dalgaard with an absolute Danish missile.
This is a fun one for you. You take Ryan Williams, Dalgaard, and Alex Dixon, line them up. Half a shooting squad. Those are marksmen from about anywhere you want, all of them getting involved in this play. I do not want to be in the locker room at halftime for Loudon United.
Really? Just to hear what's going on? No?
No, I don't want any
you already
of it.
You already know what's going to happen.
Someone's walking home. I'll tell you that much.
But the thing about this Loudon United group is that in their next game, they'll probably have a great response and get a good result. But it means nothing if you do something like this.
It's a year of what ifs. And it's their first year. To be fair, I don't think we give enough credit to the expansion teams in the East because we were spoiled by what went on in the West. Now El Paso Locomotive starting to fall off a little bit, but El Paso Locomotive, Hartford Athletic, Austin. I mean, you can vouch at all these different teams. Well, and I was going East and West about how different the seasons have been. You get teams like Hartford Athletic who start the year against probably the most difficult schedule you'll see all season long, especially to start
also
a year.
on the road.
On the road. I mean, they scored 4 goals in their first 8 games. They put 4 goals away in 32 minutes. It's a big turnaround.
Come a long way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But after the second goal, if you're Loudon United, there needs to be somebody who brings the group together and says, enough. You can't give up the third. Here's Gadula and company looking for a fifth. And a corner kick coming up for the home side.
This is only going to get worse if they don't change something. And I promise you, Ryan Martin at halftime will change at least one player. All of the matchups are being lost. Whether it's Connor Presley pushing too high on the outside and then getting beat on an interior run by Alex Dixon. Down in the channel, Robbie Dambrot. The center backs have been stretched 9 million ways. You're allowed to basically just run 100 miles an hour at them. Nobody's picking up any overlapping runs. And once again, you've let 4 in the back of your net. It's a terrible look for this team right now.
Williams on a good corner in, snapped away though. I mean, Sebastian Delgard has just had his way with Connor Presley over out on the far wing. And I will say this, Connor Presley is probably one of the more young, impressive outside backs in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship. But today has just not been his day. Here's that matchup again.
There are going to be days where you're going to lose the one-on-one battle. Talk to the guys around you. Pinch over and help a little bit.
Here's Dixon. It takes a deflection. Swartz waiting for the knockdown, and it's in. It's a fit for Hartford Athletic. It's Harry Swartz. He gets his goal, joins in on the fun, and it's a Mambo number 5 for the home side in the 40th minute.
More of the same. Notice everybody flat-footed, nobody willing to step to the ball. These are playmakers all over the pitch for Hartford Athletic, yet alone the fact that they've been on fire in the opening 40 minutes of this match. That man right there, do not want to give him space, nor Alex Dixon. If there's a 1-2 punch more prevalent right now, it could be those two in this game, and yet still you give them space to play, and more importantly, they make you pay.
Swartz with his 4th goal this season. And this isn't like basketball where if you have a bad first quarter, a bad first 5 or 6 minutes of the game, you can just yank all the starters out and just put in all the subs. You're only allowed 3 substitutes. There's not a whole lot that Ryan Martin can change. And that's one of the best parts about this game is that the players on the field for the most part have to be the ones to figure it out, and they just have not been able to do so. And if you need a reminder of how bad it is, just check the scoreline. All the credit in the world to Hartford Athletic, who really have been mighty sharp. Again, they've had a lot of time and space to do it, and you give any professional footballer at this level time and space, and they're going to hurt you, but Loudon United have just gifted them time and time again all the space that they want. This could turn out to be one of the worst score lines in the league this year. I believe there was an 8-0 loss for Atlanta United somewhere along the way, or 8-1.
Red Bull 2.
Red Bull 2. Robbie Dambrot limps off. And what a day to come out and watch some Hartford Athletic football. If you're in the area, you get 5 goals in the first half, and if you've never been to a Hartford Athletic game, you say, wow, this is the best team we've ever seen. It's like Andrew Loudoun is getting set to come on. My goodness, what a first half for the White Puma and company. They've had their claws out in attack position from the opening whistle and have been relentless. And yes, they very much are the Fighting Jimmy Nielsen's, the unofficial nickname of Hartford Athletic. And it is Andrew Loudon coming on, and he'll replace Robbie Dambrot. Loudon can play multiple positions on the field. I would say outside back is probably further down on the list. Devin doesn't exactly look convinced.
Don't see that happening. Just put a Band-Aid on something, get into halftime, then discuss what this shape will look like going forward in the second half.
Cropper off of his line. Semdevitt will just shield it off. Chan is Cody Cropper from the 19th Regiment, although he hasn't had much to do today. We do have a first for Hartford Athletic, most amount of goals that they've scored in a game in their brief existence so far. Previously was 3. Dalgard gets it away for Swartz. Over for Dixon. We have half a dozen before halftime. Dixon hits the post again. Almost the same exact spot. Elliot Horde lofts one in. Gadula trying to win the header. Boy, Alex Dixon is in the mood today, and then some. Jorgensen, he wants it.
As critical as we can be of some of the play coming forward, sometimes it's just individual brilliance, unselfish play by Harry Swartz to pump fake and then spray it outside to Dixon, one-on-one. This is a really tight window that Alex Dixon is trying to fit this through. Not bad defense whatsoever, and good rotation over by Callie Brown. Just looking for that upper corner. I'll get it.
And this is the Alex Dixon that Jimmy Nielsen has been hoping for. And we talked about time and time again how many injuries he sustained at the beginning of the year, really for the first 3 or 4 months or so. Concussion, elbow, knee, ankle, everything you could possibly imagine. But he seems to be 100% at the moment. Hartford Athletic 100%, and then some. 5 goals in the first half, 3 of them coming inside of the first 10 minutes. And it is 5-1 in favor of the side that's wearing orange in Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Day here at Dillon Stadium. Devin Kerr, your thoughts on the best performance we've seen from Hartford Athletic in the first 45 minutes this year?
Just a massive amount of energy coming out of the locker room, getting it going right away. This team took them 9 games at the start of the season to get 5 goals. They did it in the span of 40 minutes. Work is not done. No, Jimmy Nielsen will get them in at halftime and say, guys, put the pedal to the metal. Let's keep this train going.
An embarrassing first half for Ryan Martin and company. The best we've seen from Hartford Athletic in their brief existence. We'll step aside for halftime. Well, we talked about at the beginning of this broadcast how both of these sides were long shots to make the postseason, and right now Hartford Athletic is making their case as to why they should be there, trouncing Loudon United 5-1 at halftime. Yes, it's not full-time, it is halftime, and Hartford Athletic are on pace to score 10 goals over the course of 90 minutes. Tyler Terrens along with Devin Kerr. We'll take a look at the Eastern Conference table at the moment, and it's not nearly as compact and as unpredictable as the Western Conference, but still a lot of fun, particularly in the 9, 10, 11, 12 spots. And Birmingham Legion right now currently sitting in 9th place, St. Louis in 10th. 4 points separating the sides, but St. Louis do have that game in hand. And after this win today for Hartford Athletic, and yes, the result is in hand at this point, folks, you still give the edge to Loudon United in terms of who's situated better?
3 games in hand, they're 2 points up on them, absolutely. I mean, that makes the most sense. The problem is everybody else that's going on in front of them, with Charlotte Independence hosting, Bethlehem Steel. I mean, there's a lot going down the stretch here. It's really hard to play soothsayer, but I still think that with everything that's going on, and I doubted them before, St. Louis FC could squeak their way in. Battery will be out. I said that to you a long time ago.
You did say that to me a long time ago. We'll see if it comes to fruition, because a lot of your predictions this year have been off, including Birmingham getting a top 4 spot. But
and me working with you.
Yes, but that's sort of just a perpetual, miscue for you. But 9th place for Birmingham Legion at the moment. They're not going to get a top 4, but it looks like they are going to get into the postseason, especially given the run of form as of late. St. Louis FC trying to just restore that form from earlier in the year and get over that U.S. Open Cup hangover. Charleston Battery, if they are to miss out on the playoffs, it'll be the first time that they miss out in the modern era of the United Soccer League. Devin, of these 3 teams, if let's say Charleston is the one that's going to be out, who do you like to get a first-round upset after the play-in game?
Based upon recent run of form, I go with Birmingham Legion. For St. Louis FC, you want to make the argument that, with all due respect for Hartford Athletic, you beat Hartford and then you beat Ottawa. Ottawa's been abysmal on the road, and past couple matches haven't looked the best. You and I talked about their resume in general. What are they? Not really sure. Tom Stone's boys have done quite well for themselves, and they've done it against pretty decent competition, made some bold victories as well.
St. Louis with games against Nashville, Red Bulls 2, and Birmingham of note. And of course, Birmingham Legion has a tough schedule as well. St. Louis, Nashville, and Indy 11, all just defensive juggernauts, one right after another. And again, the best part about this is that a lot of these teams are playing against each other in the final weeks, and that'll just make it that much more fun. The kids are having fun out on the field, and that's when you know it's halftime. Let's take a look at what's been going on in the USL Championship and League One as of late.
On top of the box, strikes it true, back of the net. Oh, what a finish, Bustamante.
The attempt at an amazing goal. Or maybe a goal of the year candidate from Rodrigo da Costa.
And here we go again. Kadima! Oh, what a strike.
Has been Indy 11. And there's an effort from distance with Irving off his line. And that's a goal for the highlight reel there.
Obert there. Plua. Shot goal! Plua with the bicycle! Conrad Plua! Dillon goes for goal. Oh, what a strike from Justin Dillon!
Now Gallardo for his brace tonight. Go Gallardo. A nutmeg of St. Phil. What an opportunity for Joe Gallardo. A brace. And it's 4 goals for the Richmond Kickers. Mikey Rowe now. Rowe takes it on and it's in. What a strike. And Tormenta. Very patient. Bermudez now back on his left foot. A curler for the top corner. Oh, what a goal. Bermudez. Run. Torre will shoot. Oh. He will score. Talbot Torre. What did you say that you walked in?
Oh, something! Something's done it! Oh my goodness! Loudoun, what a save! Outstanding individual effort. They stand together. Another great edition of Wednesday Night Soccer on the horizon with my man Devin Kerr sitting right next to me, and our good friend Mike Watts, the voice of the USL Championship, will have the call on Wednesday of September 11th as Hartford Athletic continue to cruise, and I'm sure the halftime speech from Jimmy Nielsen is a lighthearted one, an attaboy, a pat on the back. Ryan Martin and crew, not so much. Let's take a look at some news and notes from around the USL Championship. Phoenix Rising looking for win number 18 in a row against San Antonio FC, a rematch of the first game of the season for both of those groups. And USL Championship, it's heating up every single week. Every goal, every defensive blunder, or perhaps wonder is under a microscope and could be the difference between your side getting into the postseason or not. And we already talked about the Wednesday Night Soccer matchup that we got going. What do you think of this one, Devin?
It'll be interesting. Las Vegas Lights, totally different team at home compared to on the road. Phoenix Rising, the ridiculous run that they've been on. I'll be real curious to see how they handle their midweek fixtures, though. You and I have talked about that before, how difficult it is for a team to go on the weekend, have a really emotional game, then go on the road and get it done again.
Let's take a look at what's on the agenda for tonight. Charlotte will play host to Tampa Bay. A good one between North Carolina FC and Bethlehem. Bethlehem right on the cutoff line. They're desperate for 3 points. How about this one? Pittsburgh and Louisville. Louisville is chasing the likes of Bob Lilly and the River Rhinos. Let's see if they can get it done at Highmark along the Monongahela. Atlanta United 2 are going to welcome the visitors from the North and Ottawa Fury. St. Louis and Nashville will most likely finish in a 0-0 draw. Devin, stop me if I'm wrong. Charleston Battery will play host to Indy 11. All good stuff here. Am I wrong, though?
Yeah.
I am?
No.
All right, well, that's going to do it for that little USL Championship block. Hartford Athletic 5-1 over Loudoun United. Let's see if they can break the record this year for the biggest differential of a result. We'll find out when we come back.
We don't just protect things, we help protect the life you've built around them. Travelers, it's better under the umbrella.
Where some see a barber, I see a magician. I see Hugo, of Hair by Hugo. Wizard of whiskers. Sorcerer of scissors. Houdini of hair. Hugo is a small business owner. Me, I'm the Hartford Buck, and I see nothing small in small business.
The Hartford Small Business Insurance. The Buck's got your back.
Nick, we need a decision. These days, we all feel a little anxious sometimes. But if you could see inside my mind, you'd find I go to my happy place. See, if we let tensions run the show up here, then our bodies won't perform at their best out here.
Wait, are we going to the sound check?
Priorities. So I'm partnering with Cigna to remind you that how you're doing emotionally affects you physically. Go for your annual checkup and be open with your doctor about anything you're feeling, physically and emotionally. Body and mind. Cigna, together all the way.
All right, folks, let's take a look at how the first 45 minutes went down here. Spoiler alert, there were a lot of goals, and they were in favor of the team that's wearing orange. And Hartford Athletic scoring 3 of those 5 in the opening 10 minutes. Harry Swartz hits the crossbar not once, but twice, but Danny Barrera there to save the day.
Continue to push forth and apply as much pressure as possible right in the middle of the box. Really well done by Danny Barrera to follow this up. If I'm Harry Swartz, why am I not getting an assist on this? Game off the crossbar. I still put the ball into play.
Stop.
Let's keep going. 7th minute, Alex Dixon. Really well done rotation to the near post here. Miscommunication was so prevalent for the visitors. Harry Hawkins, Shane Witt just couldn't find a way to put a body on him. You got to find a way with a talented individual such as Alex Dixon. And then Ryan Williams misses from the spot, follows up from the spot. Look at the backside here. Quick little touch by Harry Hawkins. Have to do better in this.
Robbie Dambrot can't quite get back, and he would actually end up coming off injured. Andrew Loudoun would replace him, and that would make it 3-0 in favor of Hartford Athletic. But Loudon United would get one back, and you thought that we might have a game on our hands. I mean, this is good stuff from Loudon. They had a good response.
I said that the degree of difficulty for Gordon Wild was off the charts here, to bring this back across his body, through his legs, and still go after the defender and find a way to pick out the far post. Is really well done. You get within two, could change the game any which way this goal goes. Just look at Presley. Too much. You close in at the last minute here, and it's not the step right there. The problem is when he receives this ball on the far touchline, you give him a solid 3 seconds where there's no pressure applied whatsoever. Alex Dixon gets his brace, and then Harry Swartz, he'll put 5 in the back of the net. This long ball played in by two more impressive players from Hartford Athletic all season long. Sebastian Dalgard, Alex Dixon, then well done by Harry Swartz to beat Johnny on the spot, followed up. 5 in the back of the net for Hartford Athletic, 5-1 at half. Most goals scored in a game by this organization so far.
So here's the biggest question, Devin. Where do we go from here?
Hopefully they can find a way to at least make this interesting. That's going to be the biggest issue here, because I said coming in for Hartford Athletic that for a lot of these guys, this was going to be an audition. Find a way to make this organization keep you of interest in the offseason. Talking to Jimmy Nielsen, I asked him, with your plan so far, how deep into that have you gotten? He said, to be honest, not very. And that's no disrespect to the players that they have right now. They're just focusing on maintaining this momentum that they've built in the second portion of the season. And we've seen that throughout a bunch of matches. But now it's an opportunity to really go forward and say, listen, come next year, I want to be playing for Hartford Athletic.
Well, they're certainly making their case today. 5-1 is how we will resume play here in the second half. Again, Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro, Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us. Week number 27 of the USL Championship well underway. 6 goals in the first half, 5 of them to Hartford Athletic, just a measly 1 to Ryan Martin's Loudon United. And let's see how the visitors will respond.
To give you an idea of how infrequent it is on this offensive display you're seeing for Loudon United, this is the first time this season that a team has put more than 4 goals in the back of the net in the first half. Hartford obviously has 5. We saw it once in 2018 where North Carolina did it to Atlanta United 2. The record is actually 6. Those are teams that are no longer in existence.
Here's a first-time effort that just skips wide. That would have been a great way to open up the second half if you're Loudon United. Andrew Loudoun getting forward from the outside back position.
If you are able to push back into this, you're going to need a response similar to what we saw from Hartford Athletic at the start of the first half. That's some better ball movement by Loudon United. And again, it wasn't necessarily the goals they were giving up. It was the way that they were doing so. Just lack of rotation by all the players on the field. Too much space was opening up. Weren't holding their individual battles, yet alone the fact that they were playing zone at times, passing players from one to another.
Alex Dixon can't quite keep it in play. What a first half for him. 2 goals and probably could have had 4. He had 2 shots that hit the post, basically in the same exact spot. And Dixon just has Loudon United dancing to whatever song that Dixon is accustomed to in that particular moment. Able to win the foul and the free kick.
And the way this has gone, it'd be difficult not to think that Ryan Williams would like to have a go from this distance. There's a lot of room on the near post, though the way that he's currently positioned himself, this would be distribution.
Williams all the way towards the back post, but nobody there. It was actually a very good ball. It's obviously such a long way off, and we don't know what this roster is going to look like. But given the pieces that they're most likely going to keep around, you think about the likes of a Mads Jorgensen, only 20 years of age. They're probably going to keep in. You're probably going to keep Alex Dixon around, and a couple of big pieces. Harry Swartz has obviously made a big name for himself. But given how good of a coach Jimmy Nielsen is this shot is saved from Gordon Wild. and what we know about Jimmy and his approach to the game and the pieces that they have here in Hartford and their commitment to winning, this is going to be a very competitive team from a year from now. Make no mistake about it.
To be fair, most expansion squads don't fare very well in their first year. A lot of them fall flat on their face. It's really difficult to get a team that remains relevant. And even if they've been a squad before and team coming over like an Indy 11 or a Nashville kind of sliding their way into the USL, whether it's a stepping stone or where they're going to be right now, a lot of them have shown that results have been difficult to come by. Same goes for Hartford Athletic. Now, we could talk about the fact that they had to play so many on the road to start the season. I get that. But still, always difficult for any of these squads in their first year out to make a name for themselves.
I mean, you even take a look at New Mexico United, who everybody thought was the greatest expansion sign to grace the history of sports, maybe outside of the Vegas Golden Knights. And, you know, here they are fighting for their playoff lives in the Western Conference. Now, granted, everybody is from spots basically 5 through 15, but, you know, this is a side that everybody thought was going to be right there, contending Phoenix and contending the likes of Reno and Fresno for the #1 spot in the West, and they're struggling. It had a lot to do with their run of the U.S. Open Cup, and St. Louis FC knows a lot about that, but it's so difficult to pull off what Reno did, and even Reno, you know, who were one of the best expansion sides in USL history, as this is a nice little 1-2. Sinclair, a big save from Cody Cropper. Wow, that's magnificent. Cropper getting an outstretched paw to that, and Orlando Sinclair knows how good of a save that was, daps him up.
Keep an eye on the right hand of Cody Cropper as this ball comes through. Nice little 1-2. Great run by Orlando Sinclair, and as he allows this to drift across his body, that's the Minnesota man, Cody Cropper, getting that big right paw on it.
Cropper makes a meal out of this, though. And now here comes Hartford Athletic on the other end. Along for Alex Dixon, he's on a hat trick, plenty of pace in his locker. Dixon into the area, Alex Dixon, was he taken down? Yes, and a penalty. Should be a red card as well. And it will be. Jeremy Guerre, it has not been his day. Sent off, Alex Dixon wins the penalty, and Hartford Athletic picking up right where they left off in the first half, looking to make it half a dozen.
Really nothing he can do here. One-on-one with one of the faster players in all the USL Championship. You put a ball out in space, yet alone at his feet, you're most assuredly going to be on the losing end of this. There were some words of encouragement by Callie Brown, the veteran. He's experienced the highest of highs in his career, just letting the youngster know, keep your head up, keep going. That's a good player stepping off right now and allowing some of the boys from the back to have a little fun. Sem DeVitt will step up. He'll get an opportunity to put one in the back of the net. No, Callie Brown will obviously have a say in that.
Here's Sem DeVitt. Stopped by Brown, his second penalty save of the day. Man of the match by a mile for Loudon United, and keeps it at 5-1. Why on earth isn't Alex Dixon taking that? He wins the penalty, he's sitting on a hat trick, and you let your center back go up and take it. The only thing more baffling than that is Josh Sargent taking a penalty over Christian Pulisic. And that's a bad giveaway. Sinclair has Elvis Amo running with him. Over for Amo, takes a touch, and it's saved by Cropper. Oh, it could have been one of the wildest two-goal swings you've ever seen, but instead it remains 5-1. Here comes Hartford on the other end. Nice move on the outside. Numbers in the box for the home side. Barrera, always a difficult header, but two wild opportunities.
Beautiful displays by the netminders. Former Loudon City High School standout, Callie Brown, said that he has experienced so many emotions throughout his career. Another one, great penalty save on that left side. And then replicated by the current MLS player on loan from the New England Revolution, Cody Cropper.
Moses Nyman will come on and try to inject some life into this Loudon United side that has experienced anything but in the first 52 minutes or so. Gordon Wild comes off.
Replacing number 6, Gordon.
And a substitution presented by 4G Recycling. Moses Nyman deemed probably the best academy product coming out of DC. Stays on his feet and then gets bullied off the ball by Mats Jorgensen. And it's going to be a yellow card as well, as Jorgensen shown mustard here in the 54th. And now a set piece opportunity coming up for the visitors.
Jorgensen just shaking his head in a little disbelief here. His technical ability is beyond impressive. The ball at his feet, and not the biggest in stature, but notice he's not afraid to go into a challenge with any of these big boys. Now a chance from around 30 yards out or so. Carlos Alvarez, I've seen him hit these in the past. There's Antonio Bustamante in there as well, and maybe just wonder what the pecking order is in set piece situations. Every goal this kid has scored has been otherworldly, beautiful strikes.
Sinclair takes a deflection, and Cropper makes the save, had to readjust and able to do so.
I told you this kid could hit him from about anywhere. Really difficult to tell from the angle, but there's a better look. And how about the reaction by Cody Cropper, already moving to his left, then to have to readjust his body as this then shifts its route to the upper corner.
Callie Brown off of his line. Thumped away. Elvis Amo wins it back for Loudon, as you just saw her playing with 10 men after Jeremy Guerra gets sent off after fouling Alex Dixon. But a red card, I guess you could say, is worth it after the penalty gets saved. Boy, this has been one of the more interesting games, even though the result is done and dusted. Davey just puts it into space for Alex Dixon to run onto, and of course there is more space for Hartford Athletic after Loudon United go down to 10 men, but that was always going to be into the hands of Callie Brown. Boy, how good has Callie Brown been tonight? Davey, a big sweeping ball that's over the head of Logan Gadula. Connor Presley's going to be taken off. It'll be Peebo Due coming on.
Substitution for
Rough day for Connor Presley, who's usually so impressive. But 1v1 defending has always been something that Ryan Martin told us that is probably at the top of his list for things to improve on for Connor Presley, and he was exposed today by Sebastian Delgard. There's no doubt about that. And the substitution brought to you by 4G Recycling.
Not taking anything away from Sebastian Delgard, but that goes back to my comments at the 35th minute mark, how sometimes you just need to ask for help. If you feel like you're not winning that battle, just talk to midfielder in front of you, Samo, and talk to your central midfielders as well, or hey, when the ball rotates back over, pinch over next to me and help me out a little bit.
And I know it's a very different comparison, but in the Champions League semifinal, there was a moment where Virgil van Dijk called over for help when Leo Messi was 1v1 with him. Now, that's the best center back in the world calling for help against the best player in the world. But there's no shame in asking for help because the attacker is always, always, always going to be in favor and have the advantage in a 1v1 situation, really no matter what the situation is going to be at the professional level, even at the highest level.
And you'll have people on the other end going, wow, is he really comparing the Champions League to this? 100%. I support that for sure, because it's still about tactics and how they play themselves out. And you got to find a way to counteract what's going on the other side of the ball. They always make the analogy that this is chess, not checkers, because if I tilt this way a little bit, then you have to react, but then what's the rotation like behind me? That's exactly what went on opening 10, 15 minutes for Hartford Athletic. They just had a lot of moving pieces, and unfortunately, Loudon United couldn't figure out how they were going to counteract it.
Nicky Downs, the Connecticut local, is getting ready to come on here for Hartford Athletic. Alex Dixon, he has had one of his best games in a Hartford Athletic uniform, bar none. Dalgard trying to send it across. Good defensive play, though, and a corner kick coming up for the home side. Dalgard probably one of the players on the field right now for Jimmy Nielsen that deserves a goal, considering his performance over the first hour or so, as Nicky Downs, the Yale University product, is going to come on. After this corner, though. Danny Pereira wanted to hit it. Elvis takes it away, and here comes Orlando Sinclair. 1v2, Elvis trying to get involved in the attack. Sinclair trying to challenge Cropper. Deflection will actually fall for Amo, but it falls off of his plant foot and goes out of play. And a goal kick coming. It'll be Mads Jorgensen coming off, and Nicky Downs, whose playing time is significantly decreased over the past couple of months or so, will get a half an hour here in a game that has long been since settled, basically after the first 10 minutes. And a solid shift for that young man, just 20 years of age.
Replacing number 8, Miss Jorgensen, in the 61st minute.
What a luxury for Jimmy Nielsen. Finally just put it on cruise control, 30 minutes to go. Get an opportunity to let these guys come on, and you have to feel for them when you take a look back at a lot of their performance in recent history, about the way that things have played out, where he talked about that opening stretch against Nashville, and there's the red card to Jorgensen, he gets sent off. How about the brilliant, and I mean brilliant, 55 minutes against New York Red Bull 2 that ends up in the double sendings off. And then the 5-1 loss, as you point to the scoreboards so appropriately. And it just shows you that these teams can play with the best of them. Unfortunately, they have found themselves time and time again behind the 8 ball, and now an opportunity to be out in front and just enjoy it for once.
I mean, if you think about 2 games that stick out to me, Jimmy Nielsen and Ryan Martin are going after it a little bit. Looked a bit more amicable than leading on, but there's not much in that. I mean, Loudoun had already lost his footing.
Right through it. It's not his fault whatsoever.
But 2 games that stick out to me. One you mentioned, New York Rebels 2. Should Raymond Lee got sent off? Yes, but that was a direct result of Alex Davey getting sent off. He should not have been sent off for that. And the Charleston Battery game. You were up 2-1. You gave up 2 goals in a matter of 5 minutes. If you win those 2 games, you're sitting on 28 points right now, and you are in 12th place. I mean, you can sit back and say what if and play Monday morning quarterback, and you know, retrospect, it very much is 2020, but it's really difficult to watch this team who did have the most difficult schedule, and we will continue to stand by that, out of anybody in the USL Championship for the first 8 games, especially considering the fact they were all on the road. I mean, this is a team that was a couple of cards, a couple of bounces away from contending for the 10th spot. as Cromper comes off of his line. And they were very much in control of that New York Rebels 2 game. Make no mistake about that. So that one chipped over the top. They're looking for Loudoun. Dalgard just launches it into space, and look at Harry Swartz, the Energizer Bunny. Settles it for Danny Barrera. Numbers on the left-hand side for Hartford Athletic, slips it through. Dixon trying to get around Callie Brown, but it'll be offside. That's interesting.
Well done by the two competitors, and Alex Dixon can't believe that he's offside. He was shoulder to shoulder as he made this diagonal run. Nice vision, and once again, quality build-up play on the right side. Just quick rotation down into the middle. He said that they weren't going to take the gas off just yet. Seeing that, however, they have become a bit more reserved in their actions moving forward, allowing Loudoun United to try and play a little bit, albeit down to 10 men.
Swartz gets dropped by Carlos Alvarez. Nicky Downs. Downs being told to hold it down from his manager, Jimmy Nielsen. Big switch for Elliot Horde. Vucic is getting set to come on. Barrera teasing ball in. It'll fall for Dixon though. Told that Vucic is going to come on and replace Harry Swartz. Dixon hoping for Sebastian Dalgard. Loudoun lets it bounce. Now has to deal with it. And it will be Vucic coming on, and who could forget Vucic's performance against Atlanta United 2. Came on as a substitute, paired with Jose Angulo. The two of them linked up for a goal just moments after coming on, and then Vucic scores the game winner. And probably what was the most dramatic win for Hartford Athletic in their young history. And Harry Swartz comes off to a very nice round of applause here at Dillon Stadium. And when you came into this season, you had the likes of Vucic, Jose Angulo, Alex Dixon, you had all these veterans. That was one man nobody accounted for in having a good season, and he has been phenomenal.
I still remember when he showed up on the roster a couple games in, and I said to Jimmy Nielsen, who? How good has he been? A guy that will have a great pro career, and especially if he continues his development, can make the jump to another level, whether it's in this country or not. And so one of my favorite stories about him was each and every week when we get the opportunity to chat with coaches throughout the USL, Jimmy Nielsen specifically, and said, Harry's, striker coming out of Northeastern. Yeah, well, I think he's going to be an outside back, and the next week he plays outside mid. Then they move him into striker, they move him to the interior. Can really play wherever you need him to. Just imagine once they get everybody healthy and have an opportunity to really fortify this roster a bit more, what he'll have the opportunity to do down the stretch.
And that's how important it is to be able to play different positions and to have that experience. And for any youngsters watching out there, and Devin, I mean, you can attest to this. To be able to have that in your locker and to be able to play different places, Harry Swartz, no matter who they are going to bring in, Jimmy Nielsen is going to find a place on the field for him because he works incredibly hard and he understands the game tactically, and that's just invaluable to a coach.
Just adds to the bag of tricks that you're capable of as an individual, but as you mentioned, the versatility makes you much more of an asset to an organization when a coach can look up at you and say, yes, please, and kind of point you at any position on the field. That's definitely something you want to have in your back pocket. Harry Swartz, no exception.
We've seen players even at this level, and one recently who was moved, who refused to play a different position. And it will pay to be able to sort of open up and broaden your horizons within the game of football and accept the fact that maybe if you are a striker in academy and high school, whatever it might be, you are not going to be a striker in college. You may not be a striker at the professional level because there's only so many spots and your skills might develop over the course of, you know, however long you're playing, and it could look very different. But it's great to see somebody like Harry Swartz, who was a striker in college, not a prolific goal scorer by any means, but finding a way to fit in at the professional level, as Logan Gadula is fitting in between a couple of different Loudon United defenders. Here's Dalgard. He goes for goal, and a great save from Callie Brown. It has been a highlight reel kind of day for him, even though he's let in 5. Vucic. Waiting for an option. Nikki Downs on the first time, and that hits the post after a great touch from Callie Brown. Another save added to his tally.
What a conundrum it is to make a statement like that, but it makes perfect sense when you've seen his individual performance. Some of it, he hasn't really had the luxury of a quality marking system in front of him, but each and every time Callie Brown has been asked on his end to step up and make a save, he's been able to do so. And still, with 20 minutes to go, this Hartford Athletic team not willing to step off whatsoever, maintaining quality shape on the defensive side of the ball and still finding the pockets to play through going forward. Watch Callie Brown again, quick little cutback across. There's the one earlier from Sebastian Dalgard. Took that up the offer's shoulder and the outstretched arm off the post. He's done it in so many different ways.
Here's Elliott Horde. Barrera. 20 minutes remaining here at Dillon Stadium. Score remains the same as it did when we got to halftime. Dixon. Two goals on the night for the Texas native. Danny Barrera 1, Ryan Williams 1, and Harry Swartz 1. All coming inside of the first 40 minutes. 3 of those 5 in the first 10 minutes. We got some games that are ready to kick off right around the corner. Charleston Battery playing host to Indy 11. Charlotte Independence will welcome Neil Collins and the Tampa Bay Rowdies to the Sportsplex in Matthews. North Carolina FC. We'll see Brandenburg and the Bethlehem Steel invade Wake Med Soccer Park. Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Their guests will be the back-to-back champions. Atlanta United 2 hosting an Ottawa Fury side that is jockeying for position towards the bottom of the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. Colorado Springs Switchbacks will have Austin Bold coming to town as Cody Cropper able to make the save. Let me guess, you'll get it.
I can see what he was trying to do. Just put a little English on the outside of his right foot and push it up the field. Unfortunately, directly across the ball, and Jimmy Nielsen didn't have his gloves on.
Do you know the origin of that phrase, put a little English on it? Why isn't it put a little Spanish? Put a little Danish?
It's pool.
Is it pool?
It's pool. It's probably snooker, to be honest, based upon the original time frame of the game.
Here comes Alex Dixon. Looking to put a little English on his hat trick. Unselfish though, finds Vucic and he skies it. He was onside, the flag stays down.
That one I'll go get. 8 yards out, you got to put it on the frame. Alex Dixon, one-on-one, so good. You miss, you chase. Have a little run after that one. I guess if we really dive into it, it would be called billiards, so something to think about.
Yeah. How's your billiards game?
Used to be amazing.
I feel like a lot of things with you used to be amazing. You used to be a
have
great
a life
soccer
now.
player, you
You
used to be a
don't.
good golfer, you used to be a good billiards guy, and now what are you?
Well,
You're a good analyst for the USL Championship.
My athletic prowess is no longer available to me based upon my body breaking
Easy.
down.
I wouldn't call your billiards ability, under athletic capability.
Oh, I was referencing other sports,
Okay.
not billiards.
All right.
That's just bourdom. I don't have the ability to stand
and
around a table.
You and the Costa Rica coach, Gustavo Matosas, retires or steps away from the Costa Rican side because he's bored. That's right before Costa Rica enters the CONCACAF Nations League for the first time. What was it, 26 USL Championship players featuring for their international sides this break? Awesome stuff. Junior Flemings in Jamaica had a really encouraging win against Antigua and Barbuda, but Jamaica is in League B, so we do need to keep that in mind.
How about the next international window? You know when that falls?
October 10th?
Keep going. Let me rephrase that. The more important one, I'll say, in terms of this league and its reference. The next international window in November falls during the USL Championship final.
Stop, does it really?
Yes, it does. There are plenty of teams that could be impacted by that. You take a look at the team that's on its ridiculous stretch right now, Phoenix Rising. Multiple
Lambert
players
and
could be
Flemings
gone
could
there.
easily be called in, and Peter Lee Vassell for that matter.
Someone who would have to make pretty heavy run to get there, Energy FC. If they did it right now, 8 of their starters would be out.
Good effort here, saved by Cropper. Now,
Louisville City.
There's only going to be 2 teams that are there, obviously.
Playing against each other.
Playing against each other.
Thank you for that.
Okay, let's say we're you. You're going to go play in a Nations League game. You're playing for the United States. You're playing against Canada, okay? And you're in the USL Championship final. Let's say you play for Phoenix. What would you choose?
So I played this devil's advocate via social media with Owain Evans from Phoenix Rising, and one of the guys who handles a lot of their media stuff. The issue you run into, now there's plenty of coaches out there that have good relationships with their club coaches as well. And you go back and forth. Most notably, we saw it out of LAFC and the call-up, or lack thereof, for their goalkeeper in the United States men's national team. That was a calculated thought process between both managers and how things could play out in the future. What if you're a team sitting on the cusp that with one victory can put yourself into a Gold Cup conversation? And you need an impactful player like a Junior Flemings, like a Sean Francis on the back line for Louisville City, Speedy Williams in the middle of the field, Alvin Jones. How do you then tell your manager for a national team you're willing to go and play in a final for your club team as opposed to helping your country qualify for a tournament that you don't know if you're ever going to have the opportunity to qualify for again?
Or a final you may not compete for ever again.
It's difficult. I'm not lobbying for either side.
For me, I feel like country always takes precedent over club.
Most people would agree with you.
But if you put a final on the line and a Nations League group game, that's going to be the difference between your country automatically qualifying for the Gold Cup or perhaps having to go into sort of that play-in round, which has now sort of been established. By the way, the new Gold Cup qualifying and World Cup qualifying diameters, let's call it, or parameters for the CONCACAF region has been shaken up. So if you want more information on that, please go online, because at this point in time it would be very difficult to explain with 13 minutes left. But it's
not enough time.
It's not enough time, but it's thought-provoking. It really is. And I mean, oh, that's a really good first-time effort. It takes a deflection, though. We'll do the corner again. I mean, the Seattle Sounders this week, they have 12 players at their disposal. I mean, how are you supposed to get around this, though? The MLS and the USL Championship seasons are already so long. You can't take a break and continue to stretch it even longer, because if the game is played outdoors somewhere, especially on the East Coast, there's going to be snow on the ground. And I don't think there is any way to get around it, especially considering Nations League that's been instituted, as the header is caught by Cody Cropper.
Seattle Sounders had 13 players out against the Colorado Rapids. That was due to international duty, injury, or suspension. They will only have 12 first-team field players available, so they brought guys up from Tacoma Defiance, their USL championship team. I just want to get into a spot where I'm in the room with guys like Steve Cook, John Hackworth. I mean, you could run through any of the managers that you wanted to that are going to have a run in this USL playoff scheme. But just sit in the room and go, as a player, I'm going to go play for country, I'm going to go play for club. Because a lot of the guys at the USL championship level don't have the luxury of multi-year contracts. So it's not like you're getting someone from Manchester United or Real Madrid going to play for England or Spain. They're guys that are legitimately fighting for a spot every single time that they're out. And the most important game of the season, you're going to say, I'm going to go play for my country. Or vice versa. You say to your country, I got to play for my club. Because these guys are fighting for their livelihood on a regular basis, yet alone the most important game, possibly of their career, yet alone the entire year. I'm, again, not lobbying for either direction. It's just a really difficult conversation to have. It's really simple, though. If you're Junior Flemings and Jamaica, it's just basically turning it into a friendly, or they've all qualified, because they'll say, I got a final to go win for Phoenix Rising.
Well, they should have already qualified. It's League B. If they're not already qualified and getting promoted to League A, there's a serious problem.
The United States didn't qualify for the World Cup, so.
It's different.
It's very similar,
it's different.
Though. It's different. Based upon who they were playing. Settle down.
It's Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, Barbuda.
And if you're just joining us, 10 minutes to go, this was put to bed a long time ago, unfortunately, for Loudon United. Hartford Athletic putting 5 in the back of the net for the first time in this organization's history, yet alone the fact they did in the opening 40 minutes, 3 in the first 10.
Thank you to all our great fans for your support.
Elvis Samo trying to get there. Kyle Karinga waiting to come on for Hartford Athletic as the final substitution for Jimmy Nielsen.
Be really interested to see what the response will be like for Loudon United going forward. And I'm not talking about the final 10 minutes of this game, but coming in, how you had done really well in back-to-back matches. We referenced that earlier, the draw against Birmingham Legion, who's one of the hottest teams in the East right now. And then to follow it up with probably one of the more impressive results you saw, not just last week, but in the championship over the last few weeks, the 4-0 drubbing over North Carolina FC, a team that's fighting for its right to host a squad in a home match in the playoffs. And now you get a chance where it's Memphis, on the road Bethlehem Steel, home against Swope Park Rangers. You know, does anybody in front of you still have the chance to stumble? The answer is yes, mathematically. The practicality of all of that playing out, though, doesn't necessarily look good. And for Hartford Athletic on the other side, we talked about that at 28 matches. Right now, are they still able to get in? Mathematically, yes. They're 9 points right now if the results hold behind Charleston Battery, who's sitting 11th. And at that point in time, if you won all 3 and the Battery lost all 3, they would still have a game in hand on you, and you've only got 3 games remaining. I'm not even taking into account what St. Louis FC does, by the way.
Well, it looks like they might starting to be able to put together a late run here to ensure their spot in the postseason after only barely getting in a year ago. They fell to Orange County in the Western Conference first round after Tony Walls got sent off, in the first 20 minutes or so, and then it was just all Orange County from that point on. That was also when St. Louis was playing in the Eastern Conference. Biggest question of the day, though, where does St. Louis belong geographically?
Playing style, you put them in the East. I would say geographically the East as well.
The East as well? Okay.
Yeah, cut the United States down the middle and call it a day.
Fair enough. Here's Dixon. Nice little move. He is on a hat trick. Pokes it across. It'll fall for Delgard. Wasn't a bad idea, and cleared away by Harry Hawkins and company. Ryan Martin with probably the best Loudon United touch on the ball today. And what a day it has been for the 19th Regiment and company. Their most emphatic win in franchise history. Chance here for Loudon. Snuffed out by Elliott Horde. Moses Nyman brings it down. Boy, he is just so technical. A lot of fun to watch. Had a great assist to Kyle Murphy in their 4-0 win against North Carolina FC, but that was long ago, at least mentally.
How about the talent coming out of this academy system for DC United, Loudon United, of course, the affiliation, where you got guys like Moses Nyman, Jeremy Garay just sitting in the middle of the park. The two of them put 2-3 years, continue their physical growth, and then to garner more professional experience. Repetitions at the youth national level for those guys, and sort of a sky's the limit type deal. Of course, the development has to continue forth.
Loudon United trying to pull one back here in the 85th. Sinclair towards the byline. Trying to clip it back on an awkward swipe at it from Kyle Karinga.
Just coming up lame on the tail end of this, Orlando Sinclair. Seeing him tug at that back left hamstring of his. Hope it's nothing. Continues to hold on, and maybe just a little bit of momentum to be gained to push forward into your next match.
Cody Cropper gets drilled, and it'll come out the other way.
You know, you goalkeepers at home want to see proper technique. Keep an eye on Cody Cropper, not only the saves that he's making, but as this ball comes all the way back across, you want to reach this ball at its apex, go up and get it at its highest point. Really well done, especially when you're going up against the likes of Harry Hawkins, stands just over 6'3". Always a difficult battle to win, and Cropper up to the ask the entire way.
Big switch from Barrera. It's a great ball. Dixon again. Still baffled by the decision for Sem DeVitt to take that penalty and not Dixon.
It is an odd one, and this is nothing against Sem DeVitt, but when you have all the great ball strikers sitting in front of you, why venture out in that direction? That'll be a fun question to ask the White Puma next week.
First time effort from Loudon, but he's offside. With this win, Hartford Athletic will move to 22 points. A win on either side of the 3-2 loss against St. Louis FC. 3 wins in their last 6. Meanwhile, for Loudon United, they'll drop to 6-13-6. Loudon. Moses Nyman. Alex Davey will just see it out. Cody Cropper has had a couple of big saves today. That one with the outstretched right paw, that was Tim Howard-esque.
Back across the body,
yeah.
Really impressive. Close proximity from the ball striker and the amount of pace that was on it as well. quite impressed with what Callie Brown's been able to do. When you get 5 pummeled in the back of your net in your first half, easy to put your head down and just kind of let everything go by the wayside, let it get away from you. That wasn't the case. He's been really impressive here in the second 45 minutes.
Pereira. It's going to be offside. Tim Howard, of course, getting honored at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey last night before the Eltree rampage would eventually unfold. 121 caps for the Secretary of Defense. And with some massive goalkeeping shoes to be filled. Into the path of Nikki Downs.
Make the same argument for Hartford Athletic. What are they going to do with their goalkeeping situation? You go out and get Frederick Douay, and a guy who really did well as a professional here for Hartford, obviously made his way to the West Coast.
Probably get him back, no?
I think that'd be a hard argument with Brayden Cloutier, with Orange County Soccer Club, getting him back over here. They've got the
Orange
loanies.
County's keeper situation has been
an issue for a while, yeah.
Moses Nyman now. '19th Regiment in full sync and doing their best LAFC impression over there. Long ball ahead for Alex Dixon. Dalgard is naked at the back post. Nikki Downs. Back for Dixon. And it was in between Dalgard and Danny Barrera, who was stationed right at the edge of the area. Ball slipped through, but it's offside. Cropper has been holding his side accountable, even though the scoreline has always been in their favor since the opening 10 minutes when Hartford Athletic put in 3. Trying to take it away into the final minute of stoppage time. United, one last opportunity to pull a goal back and a little bit of pride to take back home to Leesburg. And Elvis Samo sends it halfway back to Leesburg. More than disappointing night for the visitors and Ryan Martin, especially given their most recent result against North Carolina FC. For Hartford Athletic, always the response that you're looking for after a loss, an emphatic win, and they did it in style. 3 goals in the first 10 minutes, 5 goals in the first half, all coming before the 40-minute mark. And that's going to do it full time. Hartford Athletic with their most emphatic win in franchise history. 3 goals in the first 10 minutes, 5 goals in the first half. Alex Dixon with a brace. And it's a great 3 points for Hartford Athletic as we come down the stretch of the 2019 USL Championship campaign. And Alex Dixon is most certainly our Cigna man of the match. And he is also responsible for our innovative play of the game, as he had one of the best goals that you'll see all year. An absolute bomb from about 35 yards out. And the innovative play of the game is brought to you by our friends over at Stanley Black & Decker. Devin, not bad.
Not bad at all. 2 goals for Alex Dixon. They would come in the form of the 7th, but more importantly, this one in the 32nd minute. Just so much space, but still, the execution. Look at the ball. Little bit of rotation coming over to the right-hand side makes it really hard for Callie Brown to track over to his left. That would put them up by 4. They would add 1 more in the form of Harry Swartz, and 5 at halftime, finish 5-1.
All right, well, that's going to do it. Full time here at Dillon Stadium. We'll be back in a moment to put a bow on it. Hartford 5, Loudon 1. All right, full time here at Dillon Stadium. Hartford Athletic with an unbelievable performance. They got all of their scoring done in the first 40 minutes. Alex Dixon with a day to remember in a Hartford Athletic kit. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr will take a look at how it all went down here in New England, and really it was just all Hartford Athletic from the opening first 2 minutes or so. Devin, you just had a feeling that goals were coming and they were coming fast.
Funny how when you and I usually talk about this team, it's how slow they start, how they have to make their way back into second half, and they're always relevant, but they've dug themselves too deep of a hole. That was not the case whatsoever. Danny Brera, Alex Dixon, and Ryan Williams all would add goals in the opening 10 minutes, but it was just the way that they were able to get it done. It's not necessarily the first opportunity. It's continuing to push forth the second, the third, off the crossbar. It didn't matter. They always found a way to put it in the back of the net. And from a scouting report, one of the most talented players that you'll see in the USL Championship, yet alone in Hartford Athletic, has got to be Alex Dixon. Head on a swivel, and his aerial capability, one of the guys that is definitely at the top of a list in all of the league. Got to find a way to mark him. Not the case. Got to follow up on the defensive side. They don't do it. That's 3 in the span of 10 minutes.
Ryan Williams would be denied by Callie Brown from the spot, but he'd be able to follow it up. And you just have to wonder, can Robbie Dambrot do better?
Has to. Not can he has to execute. Goalkeeper does everything for you. All the hard work done. Got to find a way to repay him, and they're not able to do so. They'd get a bit of back. And how would they do that? Okay, well, we saw that they were pushing their outside backs higher and higher. They finally got some positive movement out of Connor Presley on the right-hand side. Gordon Wild did a good job to allow it run through his legs and then pick one off. But for me, this was kind of how the whole day went. Why are you sitting 10 yards off him right now? And then you close out. The momentum's already been built for Alex Dixon. He's got a lot of speed. He takes his first touch. His next one is either going to be a strike or he's going to run by you. Either way, you got to close down the space faster. They don't do it. He has his second, Hartford Athletics fourth, and the 5th one, Harry Swartz. He had been the bridesmaid the entire first half, setting everybody else up, been off the woodwork a few times. This time comes off Alex Dixon. Great follow-up. Callie Brown gets no help again from the back line. Quick little deflection. Harry Swartz puts it in the back of the net for his 5th.
And that would be the 4th goal of the season for Harry Swartz. And then this is how Loudon United would be down to 10 men. Funny enough, though, as Jeremy Garay gets sent off, I mean, they were able to hold the scoreline for where it was the rest of the game.
And to be fair, Hartford Athletic didn't necessarily throw as many numbers forward. Callie Brown knew, just kind of had a laugh and looked at the youngster and said, listen, there's going to be other days. That's a really talented young man who hopefully is going to have a great professional career as he continues his development going forward. Ryan Martin said coming in, we got to find a way to replicate our performances from weeks prior. They were not able to do so. You hope that this wasn't their last Dash playoff hopes out the window. There's a very good chance of it, though.
Well, the stats certainly tell it all. A game that was just dominated from start to finish by Jimmy Nielsen's group, Hartford Athletic, after their loss against St. Louis FC with an incredible 5-1 decision against Loudon United, whose playoffs hopes withered away as quickly as their defense did in the first 10 minutes when Hartford put 3 goals in the back of the net. Hartford cruised to a 5-1 win. Loudon United got a lot of things to talk over. For our entire crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now and thanks for tuning in.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.